Hello and welcome to a Big Knit podcast. My name is Chloe and I am a knitter based in Prince George, BC. I have been knitting for a couple years now and I just come here and I share what I'm working on and what I want to be working on. Today I have a non-podcast style episode, and that is because I am sharing my fall knitting goals. I'm really excited. I've been thinking about what I want to work on this fall for a couple of months, and kind of like with that I've decided that there's a few things that I kind of want to focus on. So I thought that I would share that first and then I would tell you what I want to make. And then I am a person who, I don't want to say gets distracted easily, but well, maybe that's true. I do get distracted easily. I see new patterns and I'm like, ooh, shiny, new. And then I want to make that instead. So I've kind of picked a few patterns that I 100% want to make. And then I'm hoping that, I have a couple yarns that I would really like to use. So I'm hoping that over the course of the fall, I'll either see new patterns or get inspired by patterns that I already have to use some of those yarns also. So I'm going to share that with you. So, I've got my coffee. It's hot out, so I might sweat a little. I'm sorry. So for the patterns that I've picked and kind of like, I don't use the word intention, but like the goals that I kind of have for the next 3 or 4 months, I would like to try some new designers. I knit a lot from the same designers. Like I really like their patterns and I have learned their pattern writing style. And I like to try something new, keep my brain working. And so I'm excited to do that. So all of these, I have my laptop in front of me, but all of the patterns that I've picked are from new designers to me. Well, there's one pattern that I've picked I've made one pattern from her, but most of them are new. So I'd like to try some new designers. I would like to try some like new stitches and like finishing details. One thing that I do really want to do, and I do have a pattern in this list that has it, is I'd like to try doing an I-cord bind off for the arms and the bottom hem. Because I think that looks really nice and so I want to try it. And one of the next goals that I have is I have a few knitting books and magazines that I've purchased over the last year, and I have all the intentions of making patterns from those books and I just haven't yet. I don't know if that's because like the way it saves in my Ravelry library isn't the individual patterns, it's just like the magazine or the book cover. So unless I go and add them all individually, I sometimes just scroll past it. But that is one that I would really like to do. I would like to have like a net neutral yarn stash. I do have a lot of yarn. I've recently destashed a lot of yarn. But I'm not going to say that I'm not going to buy yarn, because let's just be honest, that's not true. It's not true. But I think that if I'm buying yarn, I have to then use a stash yarn. So kind of staying at net neutral. And all of the stuff that I have planned is stuff that I have yarn for. So that's a good start. And finally, one thing that I have been focused on more is just making sure that the things that I'm making are functional and like fit into my wardrobe in terms of style and color, because I see so many patterns where I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so pretty. I'm like, but I have nothing to wear that with. So those are my kind of like overall knitting goals. So I have 4 patterns that I've picked, and then I have 3 additional yarns that I am hoping to use. I'm gonna have a busy fall. We are listing our house for sale next month and might be moving. So we'll be moving if it sells. If it doesn't sell, then we won't be moving. But when we do move, we'll be moving cities, which is a huge undertaking. I also work full time and I'm doing my master's. So it's a lot. Whether or not I'm gonna get through 4 garments worth of knitting by the end of the fall, who knows? So we'll see. But this is what I want to make. So first off is the Calm Down Cardigan by Lily Kate France. So this pattern is, I'll also say all of these patterns are size inclusive. So they have like a full bust range and a wider range of sizes, because that's something that's important to me. So the size range for this pattern, it comes with 9 sizes, and the bust measurement is between 100 and 180-ish centimeters, and it has a 25 to 30 centimeter recommended positive ease in the pattern. And the stitch gauge is 22 stitches. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna tell you the row gauge because I do not care about row gauge. I don't. I've never checked row gauge. I've checked row gauge one time for a sweater that I'm working on now because the row gauge is weird. But yes, stitch gauge only. Stitch gauge only in this house. So the stitch gauge is 22 stitches per 10 centimeters. And the yarn that I have picked out for this is this one here. So this is the Sheepsoft DK by Laxtons. I lost the band for this one, but I have another color. So yeah, Sheepsoft DK by Laxtons. It is 100% British wool, and it is a combination of BFL and Masham. It is, yeah, so it's a true DK, so 225 meters per 100 grams. And it is this, I really like it. I hope it is coming across. I'm gonna try to duck so it'll focus. It's this really nice, like heathered charcoal gray. Maybe next time I'll be less awkward about that. And I have had it, I don't know, I think probably since this spring. So I bought it and I didn't have anything planned. I just bought it because it was nice. Same with this blue one here. And I'm excited to use it. It is soft. It's true to its name, Sheepsoft. It does have that kind of like woolly smell. Some people like it. I've heard that some people don't. I do like it, so I'm excited, and I think that this color is gonna look really nice. I don't think blacks look that good on me because it's such a harsh color. I think charcoal gray does look good on me, and I'm excited to make this cardigan in that color. So this is a top-down drop shoulder cardigan, and it has a saddle shoulder detail. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna have some more coffee and hope it kicks in. Okay, try that again. It is a top-down drop shoulder sweater cardigan. It's a cardigan. It has a saddle shoulder, and along the arm pick up here for about, it looks like maybe about an inch down the arm pickup, on the body side, so not after you pick up. It has this ribbing detail, and I think that is different than some of the drop shoulder things that I've seen. I really like it. So that's kind of one of the things that drew me to this cardigan, is like just like a little bit of visual interest that's different than just stockinette. I have been looking for a cardigan pattern to make this fall. I recently donated my previous go-to cardigan, and it was this like huge oversized drop shoulder, kind of like blue and white checker, not checkers, but blue and white, kind of like almost tartan tartan-like. And I had just had it for a really long time, and I finding I wasn't liking it very much anymore, but it still had so much use. So I gave it to my friend. So I'm excited that like it'll get a whole new life with someone who's excited to have it. But it just means that now there's this hole in my wardrobe for a oversized cardigan that I want to put on in the middle of winter or in the morning and get all cozy. So I think that this will be that. I like the details on this cardigan because I like having like a little bit of visual interest. So I like the saddle shoulder. I'm having a hard time saying that today. Say it 10 times fast. No, I'm just kidding. So I like the saddle shoulder, and I like the ribbing along the armhole. And then I'll add a photo, of course, to show you what it looks like. The bottom, a lot of cardigans have the buttons go all the way to the bottom of the cardigan. This one has the first button about 4 inches, maybe 6 centimeters. I don't know. It's not at the bottom, so it kind of makes this like nice open fit, and it keeps it really relaxed around the hips. So for me, that's really functional because I have wide hips, and so if I'm sitting down and my cardigan is buttoned all the way to the bottom, it kind of is tight around my hips, or it bunches up around my waist, and that's not really very comfortable. So that's one thing that has kind of drawn me to this cardigan, and I like the fact that the cardigan is oversized but not slouchy, because the drop shoulder doesn't come so far off the shoulder where it has like the huge oversized look. So one thing I've decided though, which in some ways I guess negates the open bottom, but if I have enough yarn, I intend to knit this longer than the pattern recommends. I think this pattern recommends it's kind of like ends around the hip. I want it to go a bit longer down, probably just a bit past my bum, and that's because I already have a few cardigans that hit around my hip, and the cardigan that I'm trying to replace, which was my big slouchy oversized one, was quite long, and so that is what I'm going to do. I'm not worried about the buttons bunching around the hips though, because if it's a long cardigan, I'm probably not going to wear it buttoned up. Yeah. So I'm excited for that, and I think that that will be nice because it's just like, it's really simple. It is knit flat because it is a cardigan, but then you pick up the sleeves around the armhole and knit and stockinette in the round all the way down. And the other a couple of the other patterns that I have picked out, and one of the ones I'm working on now is like, they're fairly involved and like either like stitch patterns or cable patterns, and so I'm kind of excited just to have a regular stockinette cardigan. Oh, the other thing about that, I really want to try adding pockets. I've never done that before, so I don't know whether it would be like a knit panel and then I just sew it down on top, or if I would try to do like an inset pocket. I've never done pockets before. I don't actually use pockets in my cardigan, like I don't put my things in my cardigan pockets of the store-bought ones that I've had, but I like how it looks. So I think that that's what I'm gonna do. My next, so moving on, I spent like a long time talking about that cardigan. I'm really excited about it. My next planned project for the fall is the Morning Rituals sweater by Andrea MOwry. I have never made an Andrea MOwry pattern before. I've never made a Lily Kate France pattern before, so these are 2 new designers to me, which is very exciting. So the Morning Rituals sweater comes in 9 sizes, and it's got a bust range from 106 to 188 centimeters with 20 to 30 centimeters of positive ease. So again, fully size inclusive to, I guess, what the industry standards for size inclusive are. The gauge for this is nice and big. So it is a 17.5 stitch gauge. So that almost leans towards like Aran weight. The pattern is not knit in an Aran weight yarn. And I don't want it to be knit in an Aran weight yarn. I think that would be too stiff, and what I want from this sweater is like soft and cozy. So I'm gonna knit it from these two. So this again is the Sheepsoft by Laxtons. I actually have the name for this one, which is Aysgarth. Yeah. It is, oh, that's the lot number, not the color number. Yeah, Aysgarth. So it's this heathered blue. I think it's really nice. It almost leans a bit gray. But I believe the pattern is knit in a worsted weight. This is a DK weight. And so what I want to do as part of my stash bust intentions is I want to hold it with this Mohair, which is Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color Plum Rose. I've had this for a while. I bought it with the intention of one of the test knits that I did last year, and then it just took forever to get here, so I had to use something else. And then when it got here, I didn't know what to do with it because I had purchased it with that specific project in mind. So it's been sitting here ever since, and I think that holding it together with these two is going to be really nice. I think it'll be soft and squishy, which is pretty much exactly what I want for this sweater. And I'm hoping that by holding the blue and the pink together, it kind of, like, it'll warm up the blue a little bit, but then it'll cool down the pink. It'll be a bit of an experiment. I don't know if it'll work. I will swatch, of course, but I think it will. I think it will. So this sweater is a drop shoulder, but it's knit from the bottom up, and the pattern has like a section where it's pretty much like fully cables on the way up, and then a section where it's just the main cable continuing up the front, and it's got nice big pockets, so I feel like I'm in a pocket season. I want some pockets. And one thing that I like about this is like the tall cozy neckline, and so it's not a turtleneck. I watched her podcast, and she has like a few sweaters with a similar construction, and so basically it is a folded neckline, but it's done like a bit more open and a bit taller, so it's not like tight around the neck, which I don't want. And to me, like, I looked at this sweater and it was one that I saw and I was like, but I don't know if that's my style. And then I was like, well, I feel like it would fit a very particular spot in my wardrobe. And it's funny because it's like the way that she has taken the photos for this sweater is exactly what I picture doing with it. It's like coffee on the porch, and I'm gazing wistfully out to a beautiful view, and I've got my coffee that I'm just like cupping in my hands, and like everything is right in the world. So I think that like that's where it would fit in my wardrobe. And the place that we'll be moving to is on the ocean. We're going to move back down to Victoria, which is my hometown. That's where my family is. Very excited. And so I can just like see myself like taking walks outside on the beach or like near the water. It's windy and I've got my cozy little sweater. Yeah, I'm here for it. So my next project that I would like to make is technically a summer shirt. So I find that I get a lot of wear from my non-wool garments. So like my t-shirts and my tank tops, because I right now am working full-time from home. So I'm not subjected to the intense air conditioning of an office, and I'm also don't have to worry about it getting too hot, with the exception of a few weeks in the summer where everything's hot. But the past office that I was in, like in the middle of winter, they would just crank the furnace and it would be 28 degrees and you'd be like, I need to go home. So I thought that, like, even though it's going into fall, I still wanted to make this shirt. I bought yarn for it a couple months ago and it was part of a pre-order, and it's what I wanted to make. And I don't really want to wait until next year. I think I'm going to get a lot of wear out of it. So this pattern is the Moonset Tee by Ozetta, which is another new designer to me. I've never made one of her patterns. I've heard really good things, and I like the Moonset Tee because it looks really wearable and it's like very much my style. She has a couple other kind of like similar oversized t-shirts, like the Harvest Tee, and that one isn't really my style, but the Moonset Tee is. So sizing on this is, there's 9 sizes, and the bust measurement is between 91 to 160 centimeters with 10 centimeters of positive ease. The gauge for this is 26 stitches, which is probably the tightest gauge, not necessarily tightest, but most stitches per 10 centimeters that I will have knit in a garment. I have done a pair of mittens and a few pairs of socks, but that is a little bit intimidating, but I think that the payoff of it is going to be huge. I'm going to wear it all the time. The yarn that I have picked out just arrived. Oh, hang on, I'll show you. So it is this undyed. The base is called Fielding, and it is from Sunday Fiber Co., which is local-ish to me. They're down in Vancouver. I have a few, I've ordered from her a couple times. What have I ordered from her? I can't remember now, but I recall it was really nice. So this is the Fielding base, so it's fingering. It leans towards a light fingering, so it's 448 meters per 115 grams. Okay, never mind, it's not a light fingering, it's a regular fingering. So the blend on this is 60% Tussa silk and 35% linen. It's a 3-ply. I got the undyed, which, if my mom watches this video, she will be sitting there and being like, that's pretty risky, Chloe. You spill food on yourself all of the time. And to that, I have to say that it is true. I do spill food on myself all the time. But I'm doing it anyway, and I'll just carry a Tide to Go stick or something. So this is a top-down drop shoulder t-shirt, and it's got like a very classic V-neck neckline that I really like. Some of the V-necks that I see, they go quite deep, and I don't like that. Or I don't necessarily really like ribbing on a V-neck, but this has this like really nice finishing on the V-neck with like a little bit of like the neckline, or the neck band, sorry, crosses over where it meets in the middle, and I think it's really nice. I am excited to use it. And the other thing is that the armholes and the bottom hem for this t-shirt is finished with I-cord, which is something that I would like to learn. I've seen it done on quite a few patterns, and I think it looks really nice, like especially when you are working with non-wool fibers. Also, I didn't show you this yarn to the full extent of its impressiveness, but just like look at the drape. Oh, it's so nice. It's really soft. It doesn't really feel like silk. I find that silk can feel like kind of stiff. At least the silk that I have worked with does. This does not feel like that. And I think it's going to knit up amazing. So, where was I before I got distracted by my I-cord? and my yarn. Right, so I think that this shirt will like fit really well into my style and the things that I already own, which is kind of like the whole point of knitting, in my opinion. And I think that this is gonna like be, I don't want to use the term slog. I think it's gonna be a bit long. It's gonna take a long time to knit just because it's such fine yarn and the gauge is 26 stitches. But that is okay, because the next knit project that I'm going to talk about is kind of like the last main one that I have picked, and it is all over cable work. So I'm planning on knitting the Moonset Tee at the same time as kind of like a palette cleanser, or like my TV knitting or my meeting knitting, you know, stuff like that, where it's like I don't have to pay attention necessarily to what I'm doing because it's just stockinette. That's my plan. And when it's done, I'll have a beautiful t-shirt, it'll fit well into my wardrobe, and I'm really excited. Okay, finally, my last one, which arguably is probably the one I'm the most excited about. So it is the Aoide sweater. I don't think I pronounced that right. She named all of her patterns in this book after Greek, I think just Greek goddesses. But it is the Aoide sweater by Sari Nordlund. It is in her book that she published last year, Softly Timeless Knits. I'm one of those people where I see a new pattern or like a book of patterns and I see it, I'm like, you know, not for me. And then I look at it again a few months later and I'm like, yeah, like that one's nice, but like I'm not gonna buy a whole pattern book just for one sweater or one shirt. And so this was never a book that I was planning on buying until like 2 weeks ago. So I guess like the backstory to that is I was watching another YouTube podcast, and she had done the test knit for this sweater and she hadn't finished it. I guess Sari, when she does test knits for sweaters, she wants you to finish the neckline, the yoke, and one sleeve, because usually in a pattern that's where you run into problems. So this person had finished the neckline, the yoke, and one sleeve, and she had picked it up and she was like, I'm gonna finish it. And I was like, oh, that is so nice. I was just like blown away. I was like, I must have that. But then I was like, but right now you don't have yarn that you want to use for that. It's like a worsted weight pattern. And I was like, you don't really have yarn or the color that you want, and you don't really know what color you want, so don't buy the book yet. Wait a few more months. You are hemorrhaging money right now on house renos. There's no need to buy a pattern book. And then like the next day I was watching a different YouTube podcaster, and she was making the book club cardigan, also by Sari Nordlund, in this yarn, and I was like, oh, I must have it. And so I was like, because this is like the color that I envisioned that sweater in, so I was like, it is meant to be. You're gonna get it, it's gonna be beautiful, you're gonna work on it, and it's fine. So with that, this yarn, well actually, I'll tell you about the sweater first. So sizing comes in 9 sizes with a bust measurement of between 102 and 180 centimeters, with about 25 centimeters of positive ease, and the gauge is 20 stitches. The yarn that I am using is this. So it is Quince & Co. on their Lark base in the color Gingerbread. So I can see that it's picking up that these are 2 different dye lots. This yarn is out of stock in most places. I could only find it at one store, which weirdly enough happened to be local-ish to me. They're down in oh, I want to say Kelowna. I don't know if it's Kelowna. A different city in the same province, so not that far. It's in the Okanagan for sure, which is kind of like that whole region, but it doesn't matter. It's called Art of Yarn, and they have some really nice yarn. They have some brands that I have not seen at other stores, which I think is really cool. And so I think in the future, if I'm looking to try something new, I would look to see what they have. And this is one of them. So I ordered it. They had 14 in stock. I need 12. So I ordered 12. She calls me the next day and she's like, just so you know, they are 2 different dye lots. She's like, we have 7 of one dye lot and 7 of a different dye lot. She's like, and there is a slight difference. Do you want me to cancel your order or do you want them anyway? Which I thought was so nice of her to ask. And I told her that I wanted them anyway. And my plan is to just helical knit, which I've never done before. I'm nervous about helical knitting, like tonal yarn. I think the color difference is coming up a little bit more in the video than it is in real life. Like I can definitely see a difference, but I think in the video it's like a little bit more noticeable, which is good to know. So I'm definitely gonna do a swatch and alternate. So see if it's, basically all I really care about is if it looks stripy. And if it does look stripy, does it look bad? So, yeah, that's my plan. This is, oh, what is this made of? It is 100% wool. It is pretty much a true, well, you know what? It is 123 meters per 50 grams. So that is 250 meters, just under, per 100 grams, which is actually more, that is more of a DK weight, but it's really lofty. So it's really like plump and squishy, which is probably why they say it's a worsted. And it is 100% American wool, which is cool. Yeah, so the color is Gingerbread. I think it is beautiful. I'm hoping that it looks nice when I'm trying to blend these these dye lots together. But now that I've told you about the yarn, which is apparently what I'm most excited about, I will tell you about the sweater. So it is a top-down drop shoulder sweater in all over cables and moss stitch. So the front and the back has like a very wide cable section, like a cable panel, and then the cables also, I believe, run down the sleeves and then the sides of the body, and I believe under the underarms is moss stitch. I am aware that this is going to be a very mentally involved project, but I don't care. I have to have it. I have to have it. And I think that like I don't have anything like this, and I don't really have a lot in this color, but I think this color is neutral enough that that is okay. I think it'll go with a lot of things. It's almost like if you combined chocolate brown and rust red is kind of what this color is. And I think that that color looks really nice on me, and I think that it is also really easy to wear. And it's like the perfect fall color. Yeah. So what else? Oh, so it is, she writes the sweater, and from what I can tell in the pattern photo, she writes it all the way down to the hips. I have a lot of high-waisted pants or skirts, and I also have like quite a few dresses. And so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crop it a little bit, not too much, but like I'll probably hit like 30 centimeters under the underarm, which is a bit shorter than like your regular sweater, I think. And that's just because I wanted to have as much wearability as possible. So I'm gonna knit this sweater, which, let's be honest, is gonna take me forever. It's gonna take me a long time. I wanna be able to wear it as often as possible. And yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say on that sweater. I haven't received the book yet. I received the yarn today, which actually was perfect timing. And I am trying to clear my needles of 2 projects before I'm gonna let myself cast this one on. So it's okay that I don't have the book yet. And I am really excited. So with that, that's the end of the 4 patterns that I've picked that I am wanting to knit. So I have 3 yarns that I have purchased over the past year that I think are really beautiful, and I really want to use them. I just don't know yet what I want to use them with. So what I'm hoping is that I will be able to see a pattern, or a new pattern will come out that I think will work really well, and then I can either add that to my plans for the next season, or I can cast it on. I'm feeling really excited about it. But first of all is this piece fleece in the color Gonna Be Alright. So this is their worsted weight. Okay, so they say it's worsted weight on here and on the website. When I look at the yardage, it's approximately 200 yards per 113 grams. And 200 yards is more meter, you get more yards than meters. So that means that this is probably 185 meters per 113 grams. So this is definitely more Aran weight, potentially leaning into bulky weight, which is not a weight that I work with very often, or actually really ever. But I got it because I think it's really cool. So the company, Piece Fleece, it's an American. They're from the US, and they work with the Navajo Nation, and which is a First Nation indigenous group down in the US. And I believe the Navajo raise the sheep. So it's 75% Navajo Rambolt and 25% Mohair, which, first of all, kind of an interesting combination. But I think it's really cool. And I love supporting Indigenous businesses. And I'm hoping that you can pick up on, so it's a really dark forest green, but then there's flecks of light brown and blue in here. And I think it is gonna make such a beautiful sweater. So that is one thing that I would love to use, and I am hoping to find somewhere to use it. The next one is also from Sunday Fiber Co. It came in my shipment of this white yarn that I'm using for the Moonset Tee. So this is Drift DK, and it is a 50% baby alpaca, 25% silk, 25% linen, and also exceptionally drapey. There we go. This is also one of her summer yarns, and the color is Lemonade Stand. So I don't know yet what I want to make with it. There was one available. I thought it was really pretty, so I bought it. I was a little bit impulsive, but I will find a use for this, and it is incredibly soft. So I think potentially a shawl or a scarf or maybe a toque would be a really good use of this. I don't know yet. And finally, this is another yarn. I've had this for 6 months maybe. I have 6 skeins of this. So it is a sport weight technically. It's 335 meters per 100 grams. And it is from Black Isle Yarns, which is in England or Scotland. I can't remember. Anyway, so the yarn is called Monkeyface and Friends, and essentially what it is like, I believe the woman from Black Isle Yarns like collected a bunch of fleeces from neighboring farms that are close to her, and then she had it milled together into this yarn. So it is this kind of like warm gray, but it leans a bit brown, and there's a bit of a sheen to it, so it's a little shiny. It's quite soft, like it's a bit rustic, but I wouldn't have a problem with it against my skin. And the blend is, let's see, mostly Wendale Cross. Well, that can't be true because the math ain't adding up. It's 45% Gotland, 25% BFL, and 30% Wensdale Cross. So I have over 2,000 meters of this because I bought 6 skeins. I think at the time I purchased it, my plan was to make the Brioche Bliss sweater by Rust Knitwear. So that's why I bought a lot, because Brioche Stitch uses a lot of yarn. I don't think that this is a good yarn for that, because even though it is like a sport weight / heavy fingering, let me just see if I can you see that? Barely. Okay. It's quite fine. And when I make the Brioche Bliss sweater, eventually, I want it to be like squishy and warm and soft, and I don't think that this is the right yarn for that. But I'd like to use it, so I'm kind of like on the lookout for something to make with it. And that is all. That was a lot. That was more than I thought it was going to be. But that is my fall knitting plans for the next 3 or 4 months. I'm really excited, and I am hoping that I have lots of knitting time, even though it's going to be really busy. So thanks, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.